to At the Glass. I'm your host, Mark. For today's episode, we're going to be doing week 4 recap of the several teams that I follow throughout the year. Before we do a dive in of this past week's games for these schools, typically I've been doing a overview of a beverage I've been drinking during the recording and for the podcast, but for this week I am not having anything besides just water. So with that, let's get going with the week 4 takeaways from the schools that I've been recapping. And since we're a month into the season, we'll see how things have been panning out for some of these schools and if they are where they at or if they've been underperforming, and to see if they need to turn things around or they keep steamrolling through and keep moving towards making that expanded college playoff expansion that they did to 12 teams. So with that, let's go with my Sam Houston State Bearcats. They posted New Mexico State over the weekend. They had won 31-11 to move 3-1 on the season, 1-0 in conference play. Offense was a little sloppy through the air as Hunter Watson threw 2 interceptions. However, he did rush for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. 46 of those rushing yards came from a big run that resulted in one of his rushing touchdowns. Jace Bauer came in late and threw for a touchdown. As a team, the team combined for 280 rushing yards, throwing for a combined 102 yards. Defense absolutely smothered New Mexico State. Offense holding them to a total of 152 yards. Isaiah Cash and Caleb Weaver each had an interception. This upcoming weekend, the Bearcats will face an old friend. They will take on Texas State at Energy Stadium. This will be the first meeting since 2011 when the Bearcats won their last meeting. Texas State made the jump after that season to FBS, and that ended their in-season rival play, and they had not played since then. Bearcats are currently an 8.5-point underdog to the Texas State Bobcats. Like I said, so far they have been exceeding expectations for the most part, I feel like, for the Bearcats. They are, like I said, 3-1. They are well on their way to hopefully winning at least 6 games, which makes them bowl eligible. And that would be the first time in school history, which being this is on their second year up at FBS. So it would be awesome if they do. So with that, I was just looking around, and I mean, everyone has their projections, and this is all just based on ESPN's projection on what bowls these schools might be going to. As of right now, the Bearcats, they have them projected to go to the Bahamas Bowl. So I might be packing my bag and going to the Bahamas in January and enjoying a football game there, as they could potentially be there playing. Like I said, this is way too early. Things will change, I know. But Bahamas Bowl, either Buffalo or Eastern Michigan, they could be facing. So that'd be pretty cool if they do that. So with that, we're going to move to the Baylor Bears. This game was a tough one. Heartbreaker is all I got to say. Absolute heartbreaker. The Bears went to Boulder, take on Colorado, and Saturday Scaries let this one get away from the Bears. Bears lost a heartbreaker, like I said, 38-31 in overtime, which moves them to 2-2 and 0-1 in conference play. The Buffaloes were able to connect on a Hail Mary pass on the last play of regulation to force overtime, which Colorado was able to score first, and then stop Baylor on their possession with causing a fumble on the goal line. It was a heartbreaker for the Bears. They were up, and they just could not close it out. Despite the tough loss, though, the Bears did play well overall. The Bears had a 100-yard kickoff return, which was pretty exciting. A lot of big plays in this game, like a lot of what is going on type of plays for sure. Sawyer Robertson got started at QB again, as DeQuan Finn is still out with an injury. Robertson had a 45-yard touchdown run. Robertson finished with 82 rushing yards and 148 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Bears finished with 166 rushing yards total. Hal Presley and Monterey Baldwin each had a receiving touchdown. Defense was holding strong until the Hail Mary happened. On the previous play, prior to the Hail Mary that tied the game, Colorado threw up another Hail Mary, and it hit the wide receiver square in the hands. Um, which, okay, fair. Like, they're going to do it again. I know they put prevent there. I just felt like they could have done a little bit more to prevent it, knowing that that was going to happen. Um, so defense held the run game in check with only allowing 91 rushing yards. However, they did allow 341 passing yards through the air. The Bear defense did total up 8 sacks, which is pretty impressive. Like I said, for the Bears, they'll need to work on closing out the games and not give up giving the opposing team life and second chances. The Bears are home this weekend as they take on the 22nd ranked BYU Cougars, who are 4-0 and 1-0 in conference. Bears can keep the pressure up from the D-line like they did over the weekend and get some sacks and find the rhythm on offense. They can get the win. Bears are favored by 2.5. Like I said, so far this season, they're 2-2. They could have easily probably should be 3-1 right now. Utah game one, they were never in that one, so they're 2-2 now. Could be 3-1. They're about I won't say under par, but they're still in it doing well. Randa is doing a great job keeping the team focused. The players are still there supporting them from what I'm seeing online, and they want to keep playing. There's no doubt that I believe they can at least get 4 more wins to become bowl eligible and play for the seniors before they, for those who may not be playing after this, pro football, going NFL or Canadian or the XFL, whatever's combined with the South or United States Football League, whatever it is. So I would say the Bears aren't necessarily underperforming. Offense is kind of up and down. Defense definitely has improved with Aranda taking over play calling. So hopefully they will have not lost hope in the season yet, and the players came out and keep fighting and moving forward. Now we're going to move on to the Texas Longhorns. The number 1 ranked Longhorns took on University of Louisiana Monroe in what was Arch Manning's first career start and a win. They rolled to a 51-3 win to move to 4-0 in the season. His first possession as a starting QB, Manning threw an interception. However, Manning did settle in and often scored on 6 of his 10 drives. Manning finished with 258 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. The Texas run game was running victory laps. The team rushed for 239 yards. Jadon Blue led the team with 124 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 receiving touchdown. Isaiah Bond led the team with 75 receiving yards. Ryan Wingo had 1 receiving touchdown as well. Defense locked down the Warhawks, only allowing 111 total offensive yards. Anthony Hill and Javon Cole each had a pair of picks. As right now, Longhorns are unsure of the status of Ewers. I just did a quick look. I haven't seen any updates, but as right now, if they want to play it safe, they'll roll with Manning this weekend if Ewers isn't ready to go against Mississippi State. Like I said, so Manning could potentially the way to play open up conference play for the Longhorns. Mississippi State, Longhorns are heavily favored by 38.5 points. Longhorns are strong and look to keep dominating overall on both offense and defensive side. As right now, the bowl projection has them obviously making the expanded playoffs, getting a first-round bye, so they're going to be straight into the quarterfinals, potentially playing, just like I said, all projection. Will easily change each week as it goes on. But like I said, they'll be playing Ole Miss. They have them winning against Ole Miss, going to the semifinals, playing Georgia, depending on which person has a projection. One has them winning against Georgia, then playing Alabama, and the other one had them losing to Georgia. So we'll see how the season plays on. I mean, like I said, it's still early on. It's only been a month into the season. So with that, we'll move on to the Aggies, Texas A&M Aggies. The Aggies made enough plays to come away with a 26-20 over Bowling Green to move to 3-1, 1-0 in conference on the season. Marcel Reed started again as Wegman is out with a shoulder injury. Reed did okay. By okay, he will need to do much more improvement on his accuracy for throwing moving forward. He only completed half his passes. Again, I don't know. I didn't get to see much of this game, just based off looking at stats online and reading and see overall how the game went. So I don't know if just bad throws, or just either way, but still only complete half his passes. He finished with 173 passing yards and 2 touchdowns and had 91 rushing yards. Levon Moss had 90 rushing yards to contribute to the team, who finished with the Aggies finished with 235 rushing yards, which is ranked 9th in the nation right now, which is pretty cool. J.D. Walker led the wide receivers with 45 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Aggies defense locked down the run game and most of the passing. They did allow a couple big plays, which resulted in touchdowns. Marcus Radcliffe had an interception for the Aggies. Aggies will look to prevent big plays happening on defense, and the offense will keep running the ball as they head to Jerry World this weekend to take on Arkansas. Aggies are favored by 3.5. Haven't seen anything yet on who's been named the starter QB for the Aggies, whether it's going to be Wegman or Reed. Either way, Aggies will need to establish the run game first, like they have been doing the past several games, and then let the passing game come to them after that. Right now, they are being projected to go to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl against either Notre Dame or Louisville. I don't see a rematch happening against Notre Dame, just because they played each other at the beginning of the season. Not that they couldn't do it again, but not likely that they would play each other again. So with that, we go to the Oklahoma Sooners. Sooners did a whole lot of nothing for majority of the game against Tennessee. They lost 25-15 to the Vols in Norman, moving the Sooners to 3-1 on the season and 0-1 in conference play. Offense could not find any rhythm. Arnold struggled at QB, costly fumbles after the defense caused a fumble, which allowed the Sooners to get in, and then they coughed it right back up. Offense had negative 20 yards in the second quarter. Not good. Pretty at all means. Just with lack of production. Either way, Jackson Arnold, who finished with 54 passing yards, 1 interception, was benched for Michael Hawkins Jr., who tried to find a spark to get the offense moving. Hawkins finished with 132 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and led the team in rushing as well. Jaquiz Petaway led the way for the wide receivers with 79 receiving yards. The OU offense did lose Nick Anderson at wide receiver to re-injuring his quad, and running back Taylor Tatum went down. I know the O-line struggled to block, which contribute to the QBs being under duress. So, but that I know definitely played a factor in for Arnold for his struggle at QB play. But either way, OU line will need to pick it up, step up, and get some blocking figured out moving forward. OU defense did perform well, which if you had been following Sooners past couple of seasons, defense has been – the offense always had been able to move, and the defense is what was lack of. But now it's flipped, and the defense is awesome this year, doing very well, and the offense just is struggling to get anything going. So we'll see if that – can both sides be on the same page? But going back with the OU defense, like I said, they performed well, causing 2 fumbles and keeping them in the game by holding Tennessee just to 6 points and 141 total yards in the second half. They did lose defensive back Kendall Dolby to an ankle injury. I believe he dislocated his ankle, had to be carted off. It was not pretty look seeing that injury. He'll definitely be missed in secondary for the Sooners. Going back to the quarterback situation, they announced that it was an open. They'll compete in practice. They did come out and say that Hawkins is a starting quarterback going into this weekend's game against Auburn. In Auburn, Sooners are favored by 2, so we'll see. Talking to my brother-in-law, who's a Sooner, graduate Sooner, reading the online blogs and stuff. Rumors or people are speculating the lack of production offensive side was due to Arnold style of play doesn't mesh with the current offensive coordinator's play calling. He more aligned with how Libby ran the offense, and now that Libby's at Mississippi State, being the head coach there, so where Hawkins fits more of the play calling or style of play. Either way, they need to find some spark, so they're rolling with Hawkins to see if they can find that spark on offense and get things moving. As of right now, they are projected, like I said, only projection, still early. They're going to be in the Texas Bowl, either against Iowa State or Kansas State. So it's a lot of football left to be played. Hopefully, like I said, they'll figure out their offensive struggles and get those worked out, and hopefully they'll produce, because it's going to be a tough schedule coming up for the Sooners here soon with some tough games coming up. With that, we're going to move to LSU. The Tigers hosted UCLA, a team that battled the Tigers. It took the second half for the Tigers to wake up, but LSU won 34-17 to move to 3-1 on the season, 1-0 in conference. Offensive-wise, Nussmeier had the offense moving through the air with 352 passing yards with 3 touchdowns. Rushing game was okay compared to the previous week. 102 yards total on the ground, with Josh Williams leading the way with 62 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. Mason Taylor led the way for receiving with 77 receiving yards and moved him into the most receiving yards by tight end at LSU. Kyle Parker, Caden Durham, and Xavier Thomas each had a receiving touchdown. Defense gave up 17 points in the first half to UCLA offense that had not scored more than 16 points in either of their previous 2 games. The unit responded in the second half, allowing only 14 total rushing yards. Having interception by Jordan Gilbert and defense causing a fumble. Defense had 5 sacks total. Braden Swinson, who had 3 sacks last week, had 2 out of the 5 sacks this past weekend. However, the Tigers did lose their top linebacker, Harold Perkins, who was a pre-All-American linebacker for the season. Like I said, Harold Perkins went down with an torn ACL, so he's done for the season, which is a major blow to the defense of scheme for the Tigers. So hopefully they will pick up where they can and fill in his hole that will be greatly missed. Tigers host South Alabama, who is led by none other than Major Applewhite. This is LSU's final non-conference game before they finish the season out with 7 straight conference games. Tigers are favored by 21, and for right now they are projected to either be in the TransPerfect Music City Bowl against Iowa or the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl against Michigan. So we'll see if that pans out for them. So that's the recap for the schools that I'm keeping up with through the season. We'll move to the well, actually before that, I know I've been asking how the team's been performing overall. I'm gonna move on to recap real quick. Like I said, I know with Baylor, they're doing okay. Texas, they're right on par with how everyone had them going. A&M, same thing, I believe. OU, yeah, the offensive struggle right now has been their main issue. Like I said, hope to get back on track, and I think same with LSU. it's just kind of down. That's like a month into the season. They'll get a lot of these schools will start working their kinks out or have already, and they'll hopefully get moving in the right direction where they need to. All right, we'll move to the top 10 out of week 4. This is all the teams, what they were ranked going into this past weekend. Texas was number 1. Like I said, they beat Louisiana Monroe 51-3. Georgia was off. They take on. They were off, so they didn't take on anyone. Ohio State, number 3, won easily 49-17 over Marshall. Number 4, Bama was also off this past weekend. Number 5, Ole Miss won 52-13 against Georgia Southern. Number 6, Tennessee won 25-15 against OU. Missouri, number 7, squeaked out an overtime win against Vandy. I believe Vandy shanked their field goal pretty bad. So that's how the Missouri Tigers won their game. Miami won with ease over South Florida 50-15. Oregon at number 9 is off. And Penn State at 10 won 56-0 again against Kent State. We'll go ahead and move to the next segment here, which is the top 10 teams now for week 5. So some change up in the top 10 and their opponents. So number 1, Texas is home against Mississippi State. Georgia, number 2, is at number 4, Alabama. Number 3, Ohio State's at Michigan State. Number 4, Alabama is home against number 2, Georgia. Number 5, Tennessee is off this weekend. Number 6, Ole Miss is home against Kentucky. Number 7, Miami is at home against Virginia Tech. Number 8, Oregon is at UCLA. Penn State at number 9 is home against number 19, Illinois. And number 10, Utah is at home against Arizona. So that's, like I said, this past week's recap. I'm looking to obviously still recap the schools that have been after this weekend, and then I'm trying to do just an overall, like I said, every month, just more of in depth, just see really where the teams are at after this upcoming weekend. So it's been a fun season so far. Nothing too, I feel like, too crazies come out or things I'd be like weren't expecting anything. So we'll see. So far, no coaches have been dismissed from their roles. Again, we'll see how things continue to shake out coming up here soon. So with that, feel free to shoot me any messages at my email, which is at theglasspodcast@gmail.com. That's attheglasspodcast@gmail.com. At the glass podcast at gmail.com. Like I said, not having anything to drink, but like I said, we'll always be sipping. And with that, I look forward to